Good evening, everyone.
Evening, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, and how are you all this evening?
Great.
All right. And how was your 2 weeks? I know we didn't see you all last week as there was a holiday in Trinidad.
It was interesting. It was interesting. It's more of the same. It's more of the same. It's more of the spending time looking at yourself, reflecting on the information, the new knowledge, the new wisdom, seeing when a situation faces you, the choice you make whether to apply the wisdom or to stay in your old self. Things like, well, for me, is things like looking at what other people are doing and still having to recognize that in the moment, if you can recognize what other people are doing, it means that you have work to do on you. So that is the constant. So it's like more of the same every week, but with a little bit more understanding as to why, what should be different. Hey,
And
where's
you
all Lisa
and
tonight?
even in that more and more you're recognizing that there is only you and you really have to, or as you say, practice because it's something that you recognize. And within it is really to practice to focus on whatever you want to do, whatever you want to achieve. Because sometimes, I tell you, when you look at it and how much of our time sometimes we spend consumed by others, it is sometimes a lot of time.
I think it was either it was last week or week before
Mm-hmm.
when it was said that when you're spending time focusing on what other people are doing, you're actually giving away all your power. And when you tell yourself, well, you're the bee's knees, only to realize that you're not even piece of the wing, you're, you're, and it's funny when you remember that it's only you, because then you start to ask yourself, well, exactly who you're criticizing at this point in time. Your soul only knows you.
Yep.
So it's only you. So who exactly are you talking to about? And what exactly is the problem you are quarreling about? You and yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for me, it's really just applying and applying and applying and applying.
And reapplying. Yes, yes, yes. And for those who just came in, we were just asking a question in terms of how was your 2 weeks? Because I know that we were not here last Monday. And what has life been presenting you with so that you can practice?
My 2 weeks has been very stressful, and
Okay.
and and I think is now that you know what you know, and you could identify like you know that everything is always working out. You know that there's no reason to stress. It will work out. I think knowing that and stressing about stuff that I habitually stress about, I become more stressful knowing that I shouldn't stress about it.
Yes.
Um, and another big one for me is you're so used to like not being judgmental, but if I could do it my way, or it should be this way, or why are you doing it that way? And that's something like I've for the last couple of weeks I've been struggling with a lot at work.
Mm-hmm.
When because you think like your managers and stuff, they're doing certain things, but if you did it this way, it would work out better, you know. And I'm able to identify it, and it is stressing me. Like for the last couple of days, it's just been like on my mind, even on the weekend. And, I find myself being in a place where I don't feel like I'm present. I don't feel like I'm enjoying the present moment because the thought is just keep coming like, what could we do better? And it's basically like a job. What could we work better? Or if I did it this way, why wouldn't they listen to me and do it that way? And it's just like really, really stressful. But like I said, I know that, when things are out of your control, there's no reason to stress about it. You know that think about what you want to manifest. Think about the positive and focus on the positive. And I feel like I'm getting stressed out because I'm not doing what I know I should be doing. But, you know, I'm the type of person that's very like hard on myself,
Mm-hmm.
has always been like hard on myself. And I know the fact that I could identify it, that's a big step. Sorry, they're doing some work in the background. I know the
Oh,
fact that I could identify it, that's a big step, but it's just transitioning from the old me into becoming the newer version of me, of learning to allow things to just be and just let it flow, and not feel like your way is always the only way or the right way. To be more open minded to receiving, to be able to visualize what I want and how I would like things to turn out,
yeah.
because I have the ability to do that.
Yes. And you see, everything that you're experiencing also falls in line with what was discussed last week in terms of navigating the tension of surrender and integrating the whole self into life. And you're just recognizing more and more that at the end of the day, everything it comes so that you could sharpen you. And all the things that you would like to experience, all the things that you would like to achieve is on that side of things. So when you look at what is happening and the challenges that come in, it's just, I know it is not it is very much easier said than done, but you really, really have to try to embrace it. And even in this moment, because even today I had a meeting and then in coming back home, trying to get onto a company for some information because the company did not send the information. And I was panicking a bit because I need the information before tomorrow morning for another meeting. Calling the company, not getting through, sent an email, not getting through. When I called back, because I called one number, they referred me to another location that did not help. Called back the initial number and they said, we cannot help you, it's only that location can help. And at that moment, I was like, listen, okay, fine, I am going to eat. And that was the end of it. I accepted, okay, this is what it is, I'm going to eat. And while eating, I saw that I saw the company name flash across my screen. So then I was able to get the information. But you really, really have to surrender because you recognize that, we use the term fighting up and fighting up. Nothing gets done. You get more frustrated. And even now, you're recognizing that your body reacting differently. You're starting to feel a little sick. So you really have to always ensure that you are centered and you are neutral in order to solve anything or get the result that you would like to achieve. And you really sometimes just have to slow down and see what is happening and then move forward. Catherine, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yes, I had a question for clarification. In terms, Lisa, you said that you're usually very hard on yourself. Is there a difference between you working at an in an organization and you see that the process can be improved, that it is not the best process that is being applied? is there a difference between you suggesting and putting forward the suggestion as to this is an improvement if we can try this versus it is my way and it must be done my way? Um,
I
because to me, somewhere in there, there's space for grace for yourself. In that, if you see that there's a process that is not as efficient as it should be, as effective as it should be, there's space for you to put forward that suggestion without thinking that you are trying to get your way. I think it might be you are trying to get your way might be when you attach yourself very closely to it becoming a reality. So I think in somewhere in there, there's grace for you that you could give yourself grace and then probably go on to say, well, okay, I've done my best. I've made the suggestions. I've put forward. I've put it into all the spaces that it should be put. And then, well, then you let it go instead of just thinking that because you know that because you have the additional knowledge that there are everybody is in their own space and operating at their own time. To me, it shouldn't box you into a space that says, because I know this, I should know this all the time and I should apply that, because somewhere in there, the flavor in the pot might be lost when you don't put in your 2 cents worth and probably put it over in a way that could assist the whole. Not to you understand what I'm saying?
understand what you're saying, but I think it's a combination of both. Like, so the job that I have is a new location that opened up. So everybody's basically new. The manager is new. Everybody's kind of new to this new location. So yes, it could. There are ways that things could improve, and my manager is very open to suggestions and stuff like that. But just like I feel like sometimes you give yourself grace, like I have to give her grace too because she's new. Remember, she has a manager. She's doing what she has to do based on the policies and whatever she has to follow. So it's not sometimes always about, well, I think this is the best time for the transition to happen. But remember, she has things that guidelines and stuff that she has to follow as well. So it's a little bit of a give and take where for me it's like I have to give her grace because she's new trying to facilitate. She has a lot on her. I mean, our department is not the only department that she manages, so like I have a new provider that he now started. So it's a little bit of, yes, it should have been done better, but it's not really on her. It's probably higher ups as well because the we started off and we didn't really get the proper training, to be honest. Right? It was you hit the ground and you hit the ground running. You know, you learn as you go. So it's a little bit of that. She's willing to make changes. She's willing to listen, but it's sometimes you want things done and you want it done now. Like they're still trying to hire people to fill certain positions. So I don't think that it will always be this way. And she says that too. It's not like it's always going to be this way. But I think for right now, where everyone is like we feel pressured, we feel overworked. You know what I mean? And for me, moving from one state to another state, the rules and the regulations is a little different, right?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of how you follow is like union, non-union, the rules are a little bit different. So now it's me adjusting to these new rules as well. And this is not what I'm used to. Like today I uploaded a document in error in the wrong patient's chart. Like I've done that before. I never had to put it in as like a HIPAA violation, and it's a whole different process here. It
Mm-hmm.
was just simply, okay, you made the error, you know who to contact, you send the message, they fix it. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like just learning the nuance of this new place. And sometimes in having to make all of these changes, and it could be stressful because this is not what I'm used to, but this is where I'm at. So this is what I have to do because I fall under this umbrella. So it's, me kind of learning how to be patient, and for me, learning how to adapt, so it's a little bit of both, Catherine.
Well, that actually ties into tonight's discussion, which is the science of smart choices, because we know that every choice shapes your path, but what shapes your choices?
Habits. Most of the times, until, that's what I said. Like now, I'm at the point where I'm more aware,
Mm-hmm.
learning what I've learned in terms of, you are your creator, and, not taking what other people says and bringing it into your space to dictate how you do things.
Mm-hmm.
This is things that, is new. So for me, it's like now that I'm aware, I could really understand and know my body enough, like, you off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I said, like, I'm getting frustrated because I know there's there's a different way, that this is not the way I'm supposed to function. But it took me however long to have these habits. And like I said, you have to be grace, give yourself grace to be able to allow the change to happen. So that's why I said it's habit.
Because essentially, you are in the process of developing a new pattern based on where you are. Yes?
Oh, yes.
Yes. And learning about new things and adapting. And even we sent a post out today talking about practicing something new, and the newness can feel intimidating at first, but it expands your full being. Of course, it is not something that a lot of us enjoy, the expansion of full being. But what we have to remember is that consistency in any form will always breed excellence. Because just as a young child riding a bike for the first time, or anybody riding a bike for the first time, or whatever you might be experiencing for the first time, it would be difficult. But it is part of the journey. But within that is where we really have to look at it and see what is the best choice that I can make in this instance, and really uncover how the emotions, the habits, and even the environment influences what we choose and why we choose it. So, Nicola, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Can you shine a bit of light on this for us as it relates to the psychology and the neuroscience behind it, so that we can hopefully get ourselves out of this cycle to make smarter choices?
So when it comes to making the choices, what would tend to happen as well, our neurons would already form patterns, right? What we don't know is that our neurons actually like when we struggle, right? It's something that we look at in growth mindset, and we usually teach it with the young ones, is that people don't believe it, but your mind actually like when you have challenges, because in challenges, that's how your neurons actually. So it looks forward to like the challenges, right? What tends to happen is because we get the feeling of comfort, that is where the struggle would come in, because we so are comfortable feeling this. So we would fight against the natural flow. So the natural thing is that your mind likes the challenges, right? But then we get into the feeling of, okay, but then we get into the feeling of comfort, right? And because of that, it tends to be a little difficult when we have to make decisions or make changes. And then also there's the factor of fear. So we don't necessarily know what is going to happen. And we are people that we like to function with predictability, again, because of comfort. So we like to know that when we make this choice, I sure it's going to work out, right? Because I don't want to, again, go through the challenge. Or I don't want to Sometimes learn what I have to learn from the perceived failure, because as we learn, nothing is really failure because you're growing from everything. But in a nutshell, your neurons like challenges, because in the challenges, that's how it grows. That's how you recognize, and that's how you see your strengths as well. You see the things that you're good at, and that's how you grow, right? So it likes to grow. So just know that when you have a challenge and you run in your mind and saying, "Hey, let's do this," right? But the feeling is what will keep you back. That little discomfort.
Okay. And in terms of the patterns that we have already formed, is there a way to build a new one in to replace what we have already formed, seeing that it might be so difficult to come out of what has already shaped us?
And well, the only way to build a new pattern is to try something new and be consistent with it. So stick with it long enough, right? What will tend to happen is, and what I have learned is, you won't like everything, and not everything is for you. So the only way you would know if something is for you is to try it long enough. If you realize after, like I remember I learned, because I'm very picky with food. And I remember learning, try it for 7 days. If after 7 days you don't like it, then it is not for you. So try it. And if you realize this really not working, then try something else. But the only way you could form a new pattern is to go through that uncomfortable feeling. Right?
Mhm.
Think about it like you're sitting for 2 hours, or not even 2 hours. Oh, you're sitting like a yoga, the meditation pose, right? With your legs folded for 2 hours. When you get up, your legs, your knees, and especially according to age or your fitness level, your body going to hurt you. But then the more you walk and the more you walk, eventually you get accustomed. So that's the same thing when you're forming a pattern, right? And most times when you pay attention to it, release the feeling that is uncomfortable is nothing more. And because you feel that particular type of way, then you would pull certain thought patterns. But
Mhm.
outside of that, nothing else is uncomfortable. Is you convincing yourself that this is uncomfortable. So the same energy that you would use to fight against it is the same energy you could use to go with the flow and form that new pattern until it gets familiar with your mind and your neurons.
Okay. So in instances where you're in a situation or you have a challenge and this challenge brings back a lot of triggering memories about a similar situation in the past,
Mm-hmm.
how do you deal with that, especially from a psychological perspective? Because that is like a is that like a thinking trap?
No, well, not necessarily, right? It would just be a trigger. So it would be something that would trigger you. The thoughts that you would pull from it will then decide if you're falling into a thinking trap or not. Outside of that, it's just basically a trigger. Um, it's developing an understanding as well that this is just an experience, and the things before would have been an experience as well. So yes, they may have similarities in it, but it's not the same experience. Naturally your body would go for the feelings that you had from before. That's a natural thing, right? But then in that situation, it's also reassuring yourself that, okay, I am safe. All right, it's not this.
Right.
You do some self-talk, you talk to yourself, so you let yourself know, I'm safe, I'm not in the same situation, this is a completely different situation. And over time, what it tends to do, and this is just one of the things, right? Another thing might be that you need to seek some therapy, right? Or some counseling. But over time, what it tends to do is that your body would then identify that I am safe. So the old feeling that you had, it would change that feeling the more you start to reassure yourself and then pay attention. So you're not getting consumed by the uncomfortable feeling as well, or the trigger response, right? So you understand and you're looking at it from an observer view then. So you're taking yourself out of the picture and realizing that really and truly I'm safe, really and truly I'm not wrong. Yes, my body may have the same response, but it's not the same situation.
Right.
Because your
Right.
mind, your brain don't know the difference between something that you're actually experiencing and something that you're thinking about. So if you sit and you think about a lion chasing you, your heart would start to race the same way as if a lion is really chasing you. Right? Once you put yourself in that space enough, so that's the thing, your mind, it don't know the difference. So you can calm your mind, or you could change that response as you go along. And then your body would realize it takes as a process. Your body would realize that, okay, we're not in the same situation anymore, and the trauma response will change.
Hmm. Okay. Does anyone have any questions as it relates to psychology and the brain and choices and patterns and habits and how everything is linked.
I just want to add one more thing to
Mm-hmm.
what tends to happen as well is because, so let's say, for example, when you feel frustrated, naturally what would tend to happen is, let's say every time you feel frustrated, you would lash out or you'll break a glass. Naturally, what would happen is every time you get frustrated, you would realize that, okay, I want to break a glass. That is where now you have to get into the habit of disciplining your mind and knowing that we want to do something different. So now when I feel frustrated, I'm going to do a breathing exercise. Especially in the beginning, your mind going to tell you, no, go and break the glass, Kilo, go and break the glass, boy. Break the glass, break the glass. Yeah, custom breaking the glass, and the glass does really make you feel better. But that's why you within yourself have to understand that even if these thoughts are coming, I am more than these thoughts. So no, I'm not going to break the glass. I'm going to go for a walk instead, right? And
Okay.
then over time, as you do it, because I heard, like Lisa said, that's what she's usually hard on herself. And then you congratulate yourself. You give yourself a little prep talk that you made a different choice, right? So you give yourself that recognition that yes, we made a different choice. Because once you be like rewards, naturally be like rewards. So once you see that you're getting that reward as well, next time you would know, okay, I have the option of breaking the glass or going for the walk. Last time I went for the walk and it did work, let me go for the walk again. Let me, and you just continue going. And that's how the new pattern would form. Then you would realize as well, again with self-awareness and being honest with yourself, you'll realize that I don't need to break the glass anymore. Me wanting to break the glass is just me deciding to go back into old habits. And I
Okay.
am moving away from the situation or moving away from being this person and stepping into someone else. So let me go and take a walk.
Okay. Understood. 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 So even I know during the week, especially, we always look at in terms of the difference between science and math. For those who are there, we know that math is unchanging, whereas science changes. And that is why, in terms of when you are making choices, sometimes you're in a particular situation, you are within a particular experience, but it is linked to something else, which is not the same. And a lot of times you make up your mind that this is what it is based on a previous experience, but it is not the same experience. Or sometimes your phone ringing and you're looking at your phone and you're saying, the last time I answered this person call, and then you answer the call and it's something completely different and apart. And that is why you really have to view each thing as a new experience and as a new opportunity. And you are no longer your past. You are not bound by any experience. You are not the experience, and the experience is not you. You are just part of the experience. Because a lot of times experiences keep us bound. And whenever we try to, or even it appears as though it looks similar to what has happened in the past, once you hold on to that ideal, that is what it would be. And you would keep having the same pattern repeating over and over and over again. But when you get up in the morning and you even see an experience and it is looking somewhat similar to something that you experienced before that you did not like, how do you approach it? Do you approach it with a
I
fresh set of eyes, or do you approach it with
I am
everything?
laughing because I recently I had a dream, and when I got up, the dream seemed so real. And when I got up, of course, I did not like the dream. And when I got up, I remember being upset for about 15 minutes at the thought that this could even become a reality. And I had to calm down myself, talk myself out of it. And I still didn't get out completely, but I was able to sort of set it aside
Mm-hmm.
until I could discuss it where I know I could get some clarity. But sometimes when you see something that looks similar and You remember, as Nicola talked about, it triggers something. You really have to practice your breathing techniques and to realize that even if, as Adana is saying, even if it looks similar, you are not the same as when it happened. You have more wisdom now. So you could indeed make different choices. And so I was listening and I was writing down, you can make different choices unless you choose not to make a different choice. You choose to go with your old thinking and your old choice, and then you could really, really fall down in that rabbit hole because to tell you the truth, I could not imagine the very thought of having to interact with that person again like that. But it really was a question of there was still work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
There's still work to be done. There's much work to be done. So then say, okay, fine, let me work on the work and don't worry about what seems similar. So that is how I had to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not, in honesty, I did not deal with that right away, like that. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Every time I thought about that dream, I just hollered a little bit more to the heavens.
Yes, sometimes things they appear to be similar, but they are really not. And that is why you really have to approach each new moment with a clean slate. Because bringing everything that has passed into the present moment, it really does not assist you. It keeps you bound, it keeps you missing opportunities. It really, really keeps you away from everything that you have been asking for, all the desires, the goals, and everything that you set out for yourself. Yes, I think Nicola's hand is raised.
Yeah, I also wanted to say as well that even though the situations may appear similar, they require different things. So, for example, a trip to Alaska and a trip to, well, not Jamaica right now, but a trip to the Bahamas, they require a suitcase, they require you packing clothes, but it requires different clothes. So, in one situation, even though it may be similar, one situation may require you to sit still, while the next situation may require you to stand up for yourself. But both of them is somebody, I guess, arguing with you. All right. So even those situations may be similar, they still require different
Mm-hmm.
things. And is knowing and understanding what is required for this situation. Because what we tend to do is function based on again pattern. Last time when this happened or something like this happened, this is what I do. So I go in and do it now. And then you realize that you're in a whole set of chaos and confusion because that wasn't required for that situation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 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 yes. That
I
is
wanted I
yes.
wanted to find out if avoidance is not a kind of choice too that you could make to avoid a situation. Is not a choice too.
Yes, because you could decide to face it head on, deal with it, or you could decide to avoid it and pretend like it don't exist. But what it really does is it do exist, and eventually it would show it. It would always show itself in little areas in your life, right? Think about it like you're burying something, but as you bury it, it still keep on pushing up, pushing up, pushing up. Eventually, it would come to the surface,
Mm-hmm.
and in some situations, what we tend to do is avoid it, and we explode and be like, well, why I explode? Because that was sitting there. Think about it like a bottle of soft drink. It was sitting there for quite a while. I remember hearing the example of the feather falling on the pile of rocks, and eventually the pile of rocks crumble, and somebody was like, our feather could throw down a pile of rocks, but sometimes it's something, a little situation that you realize will trigger the whole thing because of all the things that was built up. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
choice to decide to face it or to avoid it. Most times we tend to want to avoid it because it's uncomfortable. And it's really just the feeling of the things coming up. It's uncomfortable. I'm not going to say that it's the best feeling. It's not. But what it does is, as you deal with it, then you realize that the discomfort is no longer there and you face it. And I think a big thing in life too is us being honest with ourselves and our role that we play in things. And I feel so sometimes we don't really want to deal with it because, again, you don't want to take that accountability. Or if it's making a decision, I don't want to have to deal with these people. I don't want to have to deal with what I think the result may be. Because
Yes.
I'm like, result is not what you have in your head, what I think the result is going to be. So you know what? But I pretend like this don't exist.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Thanks. Understood.
And even in terms of science, do you all understand that because science changes and because we understand, well, for those, yes, everybody here is in these sessions during the week. Because science changes, do you understand the power that science gives you to make smarter choices? Because even the choices you made yesterday, remember, you learn from them and you can make a better choice today. So you don't have to make the same choices. And just as Nicola was explaining, you think that the outcome will be A, but the outcome might not even necessarily be A. And that is why it is important in each moment to really, if you don't know, you're not sure, your intuition might be confused. That is where you use the opportunity to pause and ask a question and see what response you are getting. Because, and even in terms of with Lisa, sometimes you might be feeling guilty in terms of certain choices, but at the point in time, that is what that is what you knew. That is the choice you made. The result was the result, and you learn from it. Because remember, guys, life is not about perfection. Remember, every day you are progressing, every day you are learning. Just because you are no longer enrolled in school does not mean that life is not teaching you. Because life has been teaching me. I wanted to be very calm on Sunday because Saturday we had the wacky workout. I just wanted to relax and cook and wash and clean. And then my nephew come and he was like, Auntie, I have a bead in my ears. And I was like, how did the bead end up in your ear? I put it there. I said, okay. I said, well, you need to call your mother because I just wanted to be at peace, you know? So myself, my father, my brother-in-law are sitting, we are all sitting there with a vacuum cleaner trying to see if we could get this bead suction out. And my Sunday just went to a different direction from that experience to the next. It went all over the place after that. But I ended up calling a friend who is a nurse, and she said, the fact that we have been manipulating it so long and it has not moved means that we need to take him to the hospital. So we did. And in no time, they were back home and all is well with the world again. So a lot of times, just as Lisa is explaining, you have to deal with a lot of unexpected things. No experience is the same. Each is new. Each moment is new. And that is that is the nice thing about science. You could learn from one experience and know how to handle a different one. So now I know that the chain that had burst with all the pearls on it, I would probably have to move it from where it is so that he does not have access. But I thought that where I put it, he did not have access, but apparently that was not the best choice in that moment. So I have to make a smarter choice so that this does not reoccur. So, even with the choices and even just as we're speaking about the science of everything, because of it, remember, you can make more intentional decisions because you learn from whatever the first experience was or the initial experience was. So you can make smarter decisions in health, smarter decisions at work, and smarter decisions in life overall. So you don't need to overthink. You really don't need to overthink. Do we still overthink with all the lessons and all the wisdom? Do you still, because overthinking is really a practice, do you still practice overthinking? Overthinking it is a choice and you are choosing to practice it. Do you still overthink?
I think
Are
I
you
still
taking rolling eyes as an answer?
Okay, yes, I am. Yes, Lisa, what do
yeah,
you
I think I still overthink, but am able to catch it
okay.
and then apply the tools and just reel myself back because now I know what it is. So I
Yeah.
could identify it.
Mhm. And you see, it is simply that is all that there is. You identify what no longer serves you. This is not the best efficient pattern in this moment. Let me make a smarter choice. That is all. You have a washing machine, it is not working for you. Let me go look for a new one. You are eating something, it is making you sick. Let me see what I can eat to replace this. But if you stay within the same pattern or you stay making the same choices, then what benefit would you really gain? How would you get yourself out of it if you don't practice something new? I remember 2 weeks ago when I asked the question, what have you been practicing? And it is simply to make a different choice and practice something new. Because you know what you're practicing not working. You are fully aware, but because just as Nicola was explaining in terms of the psychology and the pattern that has already been formed, it is sometimes difficult to come out of it. But guys, what you have to know is that life is progressing. And even in terms of yesterday's post, and sometimes making new patterns and letting go can feel lonely. So yesterday's post that letting go only feels lonely if you remain attached to what once was. Moving forward is a natural part of life's flow, which can truly be experienced by freeing yourself. Are you free or are you still attached? Do you want to be free? I think is the question. Do you want to be free and what is preventing you from doing so?
I think, like I said, you want to be free, and I feel like for me, because I want to be free of all the attachment and the habits, like you say, that is not serving me, that's where kind of the frustration does come in because it's like you want to be able to snap your finger and be able to
Mm-hmm.
make the change and let the change just be the change, not go through the process of relearning and like Nicola said, the difficult feelings or the hard feelings or the harsh feelings or sitting in it having to deal with it. You just want overnight
Yeah,
change.
yeah. And you see, the overnight, everything is a process, you know. And I think a lot of times we underestimate processes. We think that, and especially because of the world that we live in, we think that things supposed to be a lot quicker and we supposed to heal a lot faster. We supposed to adopt patterns a lot quicker, be more efficient. We supposed to, well, literally function like AI. But you're recognizing that that is not the case at all in any shape or form. Some things move faster than some, and other things it is a process because think about the amount of years it took you to get here to practice that pattern. But what is important is identifying that I would like to adopt something new. But if you keep living without mindfulness, which was today's post, let me just read it quickly for you. Because you would recognize that that is where home is. The mind is a prodigal wanderer, often time traveling, replaying the past or worrying about the future. Mindfulness is the gentle act of leaving the extravagant thoughts and returning home to the now. That is really what it is. Returning home to the now. So, yes, you would have thoughts of this, that, everything else, but it is really important, even within your day or throughout your day, practice pausing. Practice pausing, especially when you start to feel overwhelmed, like what I had to do today. Okay, Adana, this is not working out. Stop. Go and eat. And you all could do the same thing within whatever moment that might be frustrating. Stop. Go outside and take a walk. You have some weeds to pull out in a plant. You have some clothes to go and put in the machine. Whatever. And break the thought pattern. And probably sometimes what also helps is going to sleep, take a nap, and then start anew. Because holding on to it and trying to figure it out in a state of confusion and frustration is not going to help. It only makes things worse. It does not help. So even presented, when you're presented with it, remember the things that you are presented with is the opportunity for you to practice something different. But what have you been practicing when given the opportunity? I know it is easier to stay in the uncomfortable position, the comfortable, uncomfortable position, but is it really serving you in terms of moving forward? And if it is not, and especially what week are we? Let me check it for you all. We are now at week 44 of 52. So when you look back at when we had started and you wanted to get this done and get that done, now you have 8 more weeks before 2026. 8. And if you're thinking about Christmas, I think, right, so it's 7. Yeah, because a week after is New Year's. So for everyone who was planning to start the cleaning from August, or yeah, yeah, it is way overdue. Yes, Nicole, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
No, I just wanted to add as well that when you said before, sometimes you have a decision to make, but you're in the space of confusion and stuff. I feel like even in that, you still have a decision to make to stop. Because,
Mm-hmm.
like for me, I remember I have times everything in the universe telling me Nicola no. And I still fighting and doing it. So you're going up the highway, the car cutting off, the car just shut down, whatever. And I pushing to get everything done. So I feel like sometimes, even in that state of frustration, make a decision to stop and function from a space of calm because nothing not going and work out. And I remember that day, I got my mom to get my hair, my body was coming up. Until to get my hair done. The morning, the car ended up cutting off. I think like it was like the day before. When I did get a ride to get my hair done, the ride come up an hour late, so I was already late to the appointment. I spend the money to get my hair done, only to find out that I have to take out my hair about 2 days after I spend the money to braid my hair. Mind you, the car shut down the day before the appointment. So that was like I am fighting up within the confusion. No thing, no, do it here, do this, do this, do this. So sometimes even in that doing, because we are accustomed to the pattern or we are accustomed to no, this is what I want, or I accustomed doing this. So sometimes even in that is stopping and realizing, slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Find a space of calm and then get your instruction as to what to do. The next time it happens, well, I learn the lesson because it's hot me to spend the money to do my hair to have to take it out.
Yeah.
2 days after. It hurts.
And that is what is happening. You get some pain in order to learn the lesson when you didn't want to accept it the first time. So the second time that it came back, because even me, I've learned some expensive lessons, very very expensive. Because that is usually what happens, guys, when you get the opportunity to practice. Practice. If you are here and you are logging on to these sessions, it is because you want better for your life. You want the best version of yourself to really experience truly, fully, freely, without any bound, the life that you would really, really like to experience. And if that is the case, when the opportunities arise, take them, practice whatever is required so that you could get yourself to the next step. Remember, sometimes you're looking at yourself and you're thinking you need to fix something and you're thinking you need to change. All you need to do is practice something new. All you literally need to do when you get up every day is practice something new. And in practicing something new, you would see that things would begin to change, and the things that you would like to enjoy and experience, they would present themselves. But if you practice the same patterns, then you cannot identify the opportunities that are presenting themselves, that you would like to shape your world into the world that you would like to enjoy. If you practice the same things, you're cutting yourself off. You are not part of the flow. You are by yourself, sitting alone, waiting on things to open up and develop. And the things might be just saying, well, if you don't want to come over here, we cannot come over there, you know? So you have to really get yourself in this space. Just practice something new. Practice something new. It is not only about practicing the things that you like, that is not what life is about. Because some of the most beautiful experiences come out of things that you did not want to do, you didn't want to practice. And even just like me Sunday, I did not want to deal with trying to suck a bead out of anyone's ear. I am not lying. But even in that instance, afterwards, you realize my brother in law, because he always working, he was here, he was here for a few hours because we were trying for a long time. And even when he came back from the hospital, he came and we sat, we talked, we laughed. And then at the end of the day, I said, this was probably the intended result. And why was I trying to even control the outcome of what my nephew should have done at his age, or what he should have done better? That is not my choice to make. You just have to deal with things as they come, because even trying to determine, because I sat for a moment dumbfounded trying to decipher, like, what is the purpose of this experiment? Putting a bead in your ear. What was the outcome he was trying to receive? But all of that, it didn't make any difference, because at the end of the day, when you go with the flow and you saw what happened in the end, and everybody was sitting laughing, talking, you recognize, okay, well, I guess this is what was meant to be. And you just have to accept things as they come. It is never actually about controlling the outcome, because the outcome will be the outcome, just as I experienced on Sunday. Whether I like it or I don't like it, the outcome will be the outcome. So just deal with it as it comes. And remember, you are in a better position today to make a smarter choice based on the choices that you have made yesterday. You are making each new choice with a new slate. You are not making any choices bringing the past into the present moment. Because it is as though you clean your house and you're bringing the garbage. You're looking through the garbage to determine how to make a choice in this moment. But the choice is the choice. So, does anyone have any more questions? No? All right. So, even let me let you all know um what is on the schedule for this week. And for the persons who logged on during the week, how are you all? Um, are you understanding? Do you have a lot of questions? Have you been practicing what needs to be done? Anybody? Anastasia, are you there?
Yes, I am.
And how has the weekly sessions been for you? Well, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
I did not log on
Or this week?
last week. Yeah,
Okay,
I didn't log
okay,
on.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. But generally,
Because normally I have to do home work with my grandchildren, and sometimes they reach
oh,
home late. So if I don't get to finish in time, I don't get to log on.
okay, understood.
So that is how it went for me last week.
Understood, understood. But
But I'm hoping
generally,
this week something will happen.
all right. But generally, you have been able to grasp everything and understand and make the changes
Some
that are required.
sometimes some of it is real, real deep stuff that
Yeah.
I don't get um right off the bat,
Mm-hmm.
and but I will still, I always tell myself, whether I understand and I don't understand, I am sitting I am going to open up all what I have to open up and let everything flow inside, settle inside. And then sometimes a situation just come up and say, oh, oh, so that is what you mean when you say so, so, so. You understand?
Yes,
That's how it has worked for me.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
even though if at the moment I don't get it, I stay in put. And I let everything go inside of me and just settle itself until time for it to get activated. Let us just put it like that.
Mm-hmm. Because usually that is how it works. Even if you may not understand today, or even you might listen in next week, 2 weeks from now, and then you would recognize, wait, I do understand now. So something, just as you said, a situation might arise, and then it becomes a lot clearer. Because again, that is another instance of why we just living in a pattern and we don't even recognize until somebody brings a different perspective to us, and then we are able to understand it differently. And it usually comes in the form of situations or experiences. So I am very happy to hear that. And for this week's schedule, starting tomorrow, we have our B Squad Youth program happening at schools, in schools across Trinidad. And from 6 p.m., we would be discussing the true choice and decision dynamics. So, how every decision shapes direction and outcome. And then, of course, we have our Befit Fuel and Flexible Body Workout from 7. On Wednesday, again, from 10 a.m., we have our B Squad Youth program. And then from 6, we have Critical Thinking in Action, where we would be discussing patience and information in decision making. Because a lot of times we make a decision and we want the results yesterday, even though we made the decision today. So that would be very, very enlightening. On Thursday from 10, we have our B Squad Youth program again, and then from 6, we would be discussing taking responsibility for your choices, where accountability without self-blame or blaming others. And of course, guys, do you all see the 3 ladders that comes after mind elevation, live streaming mind elevation right here? Do you all see them, or did you not notice them before? Hello?
Say that again. See what?
The 3 ladders that comes after the word mind elevation below each topic.
No.
Okay, do you see it now? So sometimes there would be 1, sometimes there would be 2, sometimes there would be 3 on the schedule. So guys, you could always look for it after, but note that it is the level of the discussion. So level 3 discussions are really in depth. So where you see level the 3 ladders on a Thursday, which would be coming up on this Thursday, you would know the intensity of the discussion or the depth of the discussion. And then from 7, we have our Be Fit Fuel and Flexible Body workout. On Friday, the 31st of October, we have counseling and consultations from 10. And then from 3, we have Free to Be, where we celebrate, relax, restore, and unwind. On Saturday, the 1st of November, we have counseling and consultations from 10. And then from 3, we will be closed. And also coming up, we have our Hike to Toure water steps on Saturday, the 15th of November. Adults 100, children 60, meeting time 7 a.m. at the Valencia Pillars. The difficulty, of course, would be level 4. And for those who are interested, you can WhatsApp hike to 3361809 to register. So before we close for tonight, of course, know that the Genius Goals question would be posted online. And also, we have something exciting coming up for corporate persons who are able to log in the last Wednesday of every month. And these sessions are called Be at Work. So, for those sessions, you get the opportunity to practice You get the opportunity to practice a little stress free. You know, sometimes you're at work and you're stressed and you don't know where to start, where to go, where to even, you don't even know because you're just in a state of confusion. And that is where Be at Work would be able to assist you. So it would be commencing on Wednesday, the 29th from 2 p.m. It would be very short sessions from about 15 minutes to half an hour for the longest. And it is really there to help you manage stress because, you know, especially with the different things that we have happening right now in the world, in the corporate world, and with the amount of changes that are constantly happening, especially in the corporate world, we would like to assist persons with adapting, with, of course, making better or smarter choices so that, you know, your work life, you don't have to sigh to get to work. A lot of times before you even leave home, you don't even want to be there. You don't make up your mind what you're going to do from 4 o'clock, what you're going to do from 5 o'clock. I ready to go home. I ready to go home. So in instances like that, we have, of course, Miss Catherine Gordon, who is really good in this particular field to really give you the tools that you require in the work environment to help you through whatever difficulty you might be experiencing. Did I miss anything?
I have a question. For
Yes.
that new program that you are starting, if
Hmm.
it's for people in the corporate world,
Hmm.
but you're having the sessions within corporate hours,
Yes. It is
so
within corporate hours.
so that means like you have to try to get 15 minutes or half an hour while you're at work to log into the session.
But yes, go ahead. I see that you raise your hand.
Lisa, this is really a program which is directed companies to companies. This is really a
Oh, okay.
company related
Okay.
program where the company accepts to participate in Be at Work, which gives like a miniature insight into our other programs that are offered. So it's really something for companies. But because we know we have our faithful listeners in this community here, we had opened up this space to inform our listeners on this channel that this thing is happening
Hmm.
and it's available to you if you have the time. But you can also put it into the company's awareness that listen, this thing is happening.
Hmm.
Befitment is doing this, and it is to assist the company themselves with in terms of productivity, the way things move forward within the organization, but everything happens to individuals.
Hmm.
And so you could also put it into the company's aware space. But
So
this was an opportunity that was open for our listeners also on this channel.
So if companies want to get involved in it, they have to reach out to you guys
They
to
can reach out, you can tell us, and but basically all they have to do is agree.
okay,
There's
for
no
the
cost to the company.
employees to
No,
participate.
yeah.
There's
And
no cost to the company. It's conducted on the Zoom platform, which is something they're familiar with. And
Hmm,
so all they have to say is, we want to be a part of this.
mhm.
okay. Is there any way I can get information to give to someone that I know?
Adana has your email?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would forward it. I would
Right,
forward it to your email so you could check it out tomorrow.
All right.
right.
Thank you.
Yes, you are most welcome. And guys, before we close, I just wanted to share something else with you in terms of something that was posted that might assist with what we discussed today. So we are going to the topic of confidence and consistency. So you're seeing the brand new shoe and you're seeing the shoe that has been through some things. And the post said, forget motivation, build discipline. Forget perfection, be consistent. And that's the same thing we're talking about tonight in terms of practicing something new. Be stubborn about your goals and always be flexible about your approach, which is the science of things. Trust in the process is more important than any single victory. And then I'd be reading the last paragraph of the write up, which says, wait, let me read the third paragraph first. The pursuit of perfection is the enemy of progress. It's the voice that tells you not to start until you have the perfect plan, the perfect tools, the perfect moment. It's the critic that makes you abandon a project because the first draft is messy. Consistency is an antidote. It understands that a mediocre effort repeated daily will always eclipse a perfect effort made once. A 20-minute daily walk does more for your health than a 4-hour gym session once a month that never happens. Writing 300 words a day completes a novel. Perfection demands a grand slam every time. Consistency is about getting on base day after day. Embrace the messy, imperfect, beautiful act of moving forward relentlessly. The path to achieving anything worthwhile is not paved with sparks of inspiration. It is paved with the dull, hard, unsexy stones of daily discipline, relentless consistency, and an unwavering faith in the journey itself. So stop waiting for the lightning to strike. Pick up your tools and start building. So moving forward, pick up your tools and start building. It is just about consistency. So, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful night. Have a week filled with smarter choices. And see all of you, yes, all of you, tomorrow from 6 p.m. to discuss true choice and decision dynamics. So, good night, everyone. See you all tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.
Good night.